Hello again, everyone. Edwin Lerner back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about transit Mercury making a square opposition or inconjunct aspect to one's natal midheaven. Now, when we're talking about transits that involve Mercury, it can be about communications, assimilating information, mobility, siblings, cousins, neighbors, analysis, and when transit Mercury is basically making an adverse aspect to one's natal midheaven, well, this may manifest in communications, assimilating information, mobility, siblings, cousins, neighbors, analysis. It may conflict with one's career, and the thing about it is it could be that siblings, cousins, neighbors, or people that were prominent even in your early education, or people you know in short journeys maybe it could be causing some kind of distraction as far as your career interests go. They may be bothering you for errands or what have you, and you're trying to attend to career related matters, or maybe you're involved in some kind of laborious efforts or some kind of work that you're doing. And the thing about this is, or you might be called upon to take some kind of short journey or yourself to run an errand, and it might cause some issues in your career getting back to your position on time, or some laborious work that you may be involved in. I mean, this could be, say if the natal midheaven is in Capricorn, it might be some, work connected with maybe construction or architecture, or doing something, with accounting perhaps, or even some general mundane work. Now, transits of Mercury, keep in mind, they don't last very long. They're in days. Now, they do last longer than transits of the moon. The transits of the moon, on average, last about 10 hours. Now, the thing about this, though, is you will get a number of these transits by Mercury every year, and sometimes they'll last a little longer if you have it going retrograde at a point during the transit. So they can have certain significance, but what I want to get to, as far as this transit goes, now the midheaven is also connected with the dominant parent, which is often the father. Now, communications with this person may not be going well. They might be a little bit more contentious, or you're not seeing eye to eye perhaps on viewpoints at this time. And say if Mercury is in Aries, as an example, it could be more really acerbic or combative communications. Now, the midheaven also is connected with one's status, reputation, and public image. So this could be a time where it can be, if you have some siblings, cousins, or neighbors, they might, in some isolated cases, they may be causing some problems for you or affecting your reputation or public image to its detriment. Keep in mind, you're talking about basically an adverse aspect by transit Mercury to the natal midheaven. If you're talking about a sextile or trine to the natal midheaven, these people might be more auspicious for your reputation, public image, and be able, to do things to build it up and say positive things that would actually perhaps augment it. But the thing about this is, to remember that the midheaven is also connected with our stature in life. So, in some cases it could be where, there might be some bad commentary about you or some report. In some cases that might be preventing you maybe from you attaining a certain stature in life, or maybe the news that you receive if you're trying to attain some kind of career position that would give you more money and that would improve your stature in life, your social status. The news might not be good at this point in time. And the midheaven is also connected with success as well. And the thing about it is, you might be having trouble formulating ideas at this point in time in terms of how to attain greater success, especially if you're in a position where you feel in your mind that you're not making the money that you need to make, or you're at a situation in life where your social status you believe is well low, your stature in life is not right. You feel like whatever you're doing, whether it's a business or what have you, may not be flourishing at this point in time. This is a time where you might be having trouble understanding what you need to do to actually augment your success at this point in time. Now, the midheaven is also associated with responsibilities. So it might be a time where you might be dealing with, again, going back to siblings, cousins, or neighbors, people prominent in your early education, people that might be prominent in your short journeys. Maybe they're conflicting with responsibilities at this time, or maybe they're even giving you responsibilities that you don't really want to get involved in at this time. Say if the midheaven is in Taurus, as an example, it could be something of a monetary nature, or it can be a situation too. I mean, maybe it's something with buying and selling as another example, and you're trying to help them out with that, whether it's at a yard sale or what have you, and you don't really feel like really doing it. Maybe they're giving you responsibilities that you just don't want to have to contend with at this point. If the natal midheaven is in Scorpio, maybe there's some issues that you have to deal with, say with taxes or insurance, or dealing with a death, and the transit of Mercury being connected with siblings, cousins, or neighbors, that they might be causing some conflict with that. Now, the midheaven is also associated with authority and attaining authority. So this can be a time where maybe you're having trouble understanding how what you're going to do, maybe to get out of like a subordinate or subservient position if you are in one at the time of this transit, and how you're going to attain greater authority at your position. Maybe it's a time you might be becoming exasperated and tired of more subordinate role if you are currently in one, and you want to put yourself up higher, but you're not really maybe understanding what needs to be done in order to do this. Now, our the midheaven is also connected with accomplishments and achievements. So if you're like say doing something, especially I'd say with communication or writing, it might be harder to maybe finish the task at this time, to actually accomplish it, and it may be harder to articulate maybe at this time, or even verbalize what you want, so what you desire to actually accomplish in your achievements at this time. We're figuring out how you're going to achieve certain things at this point in time in your life. Now, the midheaven is also connected with that side we can't suppress or hold back. Remember, the fourth house in astrology is connected, what we may do when no one's around. But when we have the midheaven can be associated with that side, even if we're trying to suppress it, it's going to be very hard to do so. And say if your natal midheaven is in Aquarius, it might be some idiosyncratic or rebellious or nonconforming, even eccentric or bizarre side of you. Maybe maybe siblings, cousins, or neighbors are not really in agreement with. Now, another way this could manifest and pan out, it could be going back again to siblings, cousins, or neighbors. Reiterate what I said previously. They may conflict with career-related matters, laborious efforts. Say if your natal midheaven is in Aquarius, as an example, maybe they might conflict with maybe career, or Aquarius like careers such as astronomy or astrology, computers or electronics innovation, or even humanitarian or altruistic efforts at this time. Local transportation issues might be due to some responsibilities that you have to take care of. Might be causing a distraction. If the midheaven is in Scorpio, as an example, it might be matters with taxes or insurance, or even a crisis, even dealing with a death, whether you're making some kind of funeral arrangements for a loved one, or paying, getting the money, like whether it's for a burial or whatever you have to do connected with that. Now, Could also be a time too where it might be harder, it might be more of an arduous task, it seems like, maybe to get news that might be connected with you trying to attain greater notoriety and recognition. Hold on a moment, people. Anyway, now let's say if the midheaven is in Sagittarius as an example, it could be news perhaps connected with something you're doing with publishing or advertising, trying to promote your brand or yourself or what have you. At this time, those things might be harder to do. Um, Say another thing could be, this could also be harder to articulate or verbalize really what that side in you that maybe you can't suppress and say, I'm going, let's say, for example, if the natal midheaven is in Virgo, it could be a side that might be overly maybe persnickety or pedantic or critical, judgmental, or even exacting or very worrisome and apprehensive. Now, there are also, in some isolated cases, I would say there could be issues with the hands, arms, nerves, maybe breathing. I mean, if you, because that's what's connected anatomically with Mercury, it might be harder to perform responsibilities as a result. Say if the natal midheaven is in Gemini, it might require things that are associated with strong manual dexterity. It could be doing something with some kind of auto or refrigeration repair at this time as an example, or maybe even writing as another example, or some other communications field such as data or satellite communications. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Leonard saying stay well.